What's going on, y'all? Jordan. Another episode of Lightning Latest. Gonna have a pretty busy one today. We're gonna continue our offensive preview with the third line today, as well as talk about another big Bolts prospect in Ethan Ziata. Pat Maroon, he's back with us as well. We're gonna talk about him, and then of course finishing off with another patented what if. But first, let's talk about this offensive line for a sec. Line 3 is looking pretty good, right? Yanni Gord at left wing. Nick Paul at center, Gage and Calvis at right wing. That's how we're looking right now with training camp coming up. Remember, Yanni was reacquired, right, from the Kraken at the trade deadline last year with Oliver Bjorkstrand. And that was a pretty big pickup because, you know, we're trying to solidify those third and fourth lines, right? Well, Yanni, when fully healthy, does that. And we re-signed him to a 6-year deal worth $2.5 million per year this past offseason. So he's 34. He's probably going to retire as a Bull after signing that deal. That's perfectly fine with us. We never wanted him to leave in the first place, but the Kraken took him in the expansion draft. So, you know, it's always good to have Yanni back in Bolt Blue. We love seeing it. At center, Nick Paul. You know, Nick Paul has gotten better since we acquired him at the 2021-2022 trade deadline. But there's still some more that's needed. Played in 76 games last year, scored 41 points. So 22 goals, 19 assists. Career best plus minus a plus 13. So had a great year, right? The year before he was plus minus negative 11 over a full 82 games. And even then he only had 2 more goals and 3 more assists throughout that time. So, you know, if we can continue to get him playing positive, smart hockey, he should be fine leading the third line. You know, I don't really see why that's going to be an issue. Gage and Calvis is the one I'm interested the most in. And the reasoning for that is, you know, he just signed his bridge deal, 2 years and $1.2 million a year. You know, 26 years old. He has the potential to be better, to get that bigger third contract, right? Whether it's with us or with another team. Remember, once again, NHL cap space expanding over the next few years. If he continues to grow and improve over these next couple seasons, don't be surprised if Breboy in the front office tried to lock him up before he becomes an unrestricted free agent. Okay? They like keeping their guys in-house. Goncalves had a solid year last year. We're looking for more progression this year. I think it's going to happen. So, if he can get better, then we're going to be solid. We're going to be really good on that third line. But we're going to switch gears now, talking about the prospects. Ethan Ziata, number 2 prospect according to The Athletic. All right? Now, according to the Athletic scoring problem, there's a big drop-off from Geeky to the rest of the gang led by Ziata, okay? He's projected Ziata to play NHL games. That's it. So, maybe it's as a third or fourth liner, you know, maybe it's something better. Maybe it's not, you know. His hockey sense is considered to be below average. I don't think you want to hear that about a player. Right, that's one of the things you really want them to be above average in is, you know, their hockey intelligence and what they're looking for on the ice and how they're going to play their assignments, how they understand what the coaching staff's telling them. Hopefully he can kind of develop out of that. We'll see. But he's considered by Promi to be a high-end competitor, which is great. You know, that's exactly what you want to hear. All right. Currently projected to be also like a bottom 6 forward, which is an area the Bolts need to improve, as we know. We've talked about, right? With Goncalves, adding Pelletier, adding Holmberg, you know, hoping Geeky takes that next step up. You know, hoping Yanni Gord continues his solid, steady third-line play. So many factors go into this. But, you know, could we see Ziata up here this year or next year? Who knows? A lot of different things are possible because we're trying to build that depth, right, to get back to the Stanley Cup. That's the number one thing. So, if he can come back up and play good hockey with us, I don't see why not. But we're kind of hoping that other guys like Pelletier, like Holmberg, like Geeky, they step up first, right? They prove that they're going to be this next wave of talent. So, but we're going to go back to an old wave of talent. Pat Maroon. Love Pat Maroon, right? He's back with the team in a official team ambassador role. Okay, so he retired after this past season. And man, Miss the guy. One of our most beloved players from the Stanley Cup runs. What an instigator. Love Pat. He's going to work with the team in a variety of ways, including community appearances and growing the game of hockey throughout Tampa Bay, which is important, obviously, right? Because we get that next wave of talent to become from the Bay Area, maybe they won't ever want to leave. So he played for the Bolts from 2019 to 2023, won the Stanley Cup with us the first 2 years of the team. Just a great all-around talent. Okay. His family loves living in Tampa, though, which is a big part of his decision. He said, my daughter was born here. She loves it here. My son Anthony loves it here and loves coming down to be here and live with us during the summer months. And I think it just made sense for us. It's a great opportunity, and I'm really excited to work for the Lightning and just kind of see where this goes. So, community events, being out throughout Tampa Bay, I think he's going to fit in just fine. A lot of people love Maroon here in Tampa. Great hire for an ambassador role, and who knows? Maybe he could be something more. Maybe he works his way up into the scouting department or coaching. Or he does whatever he wants to do. He's got young kids. He wants to be a part of their lives. So him being here in Tampa is awesome. He's also going to continue his work in hockey media as an analyst with the Lightning TV broadcast starting this season. So that'll be fun because he had some exposure doing that during the Stanley Cup playoffs. He had exposure doing that and learning the ropes on that. So Pat Maroon back with the Bolts. You love to see it. It's just whenever someone comes home back to where they feel like they can really make a difference, it's great to see. Pat Maroon can definitely make a difference in this new role with the Bolts. Really excited to see what he does throughout Tampa Bay. But now we have to focus on improving and strengthening this new team. Well, not new team, the current team. New what if. Ready? Mark Stone. All right, so yeah. Let's start with the detractor. 33 years old. Making $9.5 million a year for the next 2 years. He is the Golden Knights captain. Right, it's a tough one. If they're contending, they won't trade him. Well, I mean, unless something crazy comes across their laps, but I don't think they'll trade him. All of these Golden Knights targets and some other playoff targets, which we'll talk about over the next few days, it's way more of a what if, because those teams will have to struggle and there will have to be something that limits them. The thing with the Golden Knights is that they're older, right? A lot of those top line guys are older, like Mark Stone, who's 33. All right, and they're expensive. As the captain, it would be tough for Vegas to trade him. He's already helped lead them to Stanley Cup. He's really beloved in Vegas. T-Mobile Arena changes his name all the time. He's a great player. He's still a great offensive player as well. The issue is, if they struggle, or if something happens to come out the gate, their GM, Kelly McCrimmon, is probably going to want to trim the fat. He's probably going to want to get rid of some veteran contracts because, if the veteran team's not doing well, when they're struggling and they're worth a lot of money, why pay them if you don't need to? So, it's not to say I don't think Vegas will be good this year. I think Vegas is going to be good again. I don't know if they'll make it back to the Stanley Cup. They're good, but they're not as good as a couple other teams like the Jets, like the Oilers, like the Stars. So, I don't think they'll trade him. But if they do, he'd be of interest to the Bolts because it's only for 2 more years at $9.5 million. He wouldn't be cost that much in terms of prospect capital because he's just getting older and he's expensive. I think he'd be a really good fit, especially like on the third line. But at the same time, that cuts a gauge and causes his growth. That's the other question. So you have a lot of variables. Could also play right on the second line, replace Bjorkstrand. It's possible. There's a lot of different ways Mark Stone to the Bolts could work. could fit. So that's today's what if. Tomorrow's is going to be kind of crazy too. Another Vegas Golden Knights player we're going to talk about. We're also going to touch more on the offense as well. There's a few different things we really want to dive into offensively for the rest of this series, and that'll be covered tomorrow. Also, more prospect talk. So much more coming your way. This is Jordan with Lightning Latest. I'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a good one.